Welcome, everyone. Get ready for another QCTV episode starting in a moment. We're going to be here with my guest today talking about crystals and sound. Be sure to subscribe to this channel and check out the links to join us in our after party after today's show. We're going to be on Zoom. Today's after party starts now. Or actually, today's show, QCTV, starts now. Here we go. Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. And welcome, everyone. I'm so pleased to be here today in this quantum conversation where we are exploring the many benefits of crystals and sound healing. My guest today is Christopher Timms, and he is a leader and a master in sound healing. We're also going to be talking about his new developments in sound healing and how it truly is changing the world. Christopher, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Loren. It's great to be with you again.
I love this conversation. We are going to further our conversation about crystals. You actually have an amazing background. You were with the Mitchell-Hedges Skull, and that literally changed your life. Let's start right there with that story. What happened when you held that skull in your hand, and why is that so important? What's up with the skulls?
Well, that was back in 1988. That was the first time I happened to get to be with Anna. That was my first tour in Canada for teaching, and I was taken there by surprise. The man that took me, my sponsor for going to Canada, didn't tell me where we were going, and we wound up at this little old lady's house in the middle of Kitchener, outside of Toronto. And when I walked in the living room, here's Anna Mitchell-Hedges. Okay, I didn't know who she was, but here's the crystal skull sitting on the coffee table with potpourri all around it. And I thought it was just an amazing thing. And I was feeling it as we came to the front door. But to hold the skull is something that Anna didn't let everybody do. And she didn't ask me to hold the skull. She told me to hold the skull upon our first visit. And so when I picked up the skull, this skull has a detachable jawbone. So you pick up the cranium and then you pick up the jawbone and you kind of put it together. And it was alive. You could feel the throbbing. It was literally throbbing, pulsing. And as I just closed my eyes, I chanted with it for a moment. And Anna left me in the living room and she went to go put on tea. And it just felt amazing. It just felt amazing. And I felt all this love, just big love. And that was the beginning. And I have, 100 or more private hours, just me and the skull, over the next years from 1988 to 1996.
And so it's quite amazing. Those who have been in the presence of these skulls have witnessed something similar to you. But what's the story for those who are not familiar with the crystal skulls? And these, are they made from off planet? Were they seeded on our planet?
Well, this one in particular was tested. Richard Hoagland, retired NASA astrophysicist now, took the skull and was testing it in the more modern equipment than when it was originally tested back in the 60s by Hewlett-Packard. And one of the things that was determined, and this answers your question, was that the skull the crystal, the quartz crystal that the skull is fashioned out of, had to have been grown in zero gravity. So it didn't come from the earth. It was literally grown in space and fashioned by some technology that we don't understand. Simply put, Hewlett Packard back in the 60s with deep cell microscopy said that it shouldn't exist. It just shouldn't exist. That was the summation of all of their findings. And they were finding that it was having interesting temperature gradient variances. They put it in a room and the whole room would be one temperature and the skull would change its temperature. I mean, all these different things were happening and they had no explanation for any of it. And they just said it shouldn't exist. This is an anomalous piece of, archaeology of history.
Yeah, I know. It really is fascinating. And so the rest with you is history. So we're going to catch up with you on your latest research because it's really quite fascinating. You work with crystals and sound, and you've got these new sound tables. So let's talk a little bit about this latest work that you
Mm.
do. What are you seeing? Okay, tell us the inspiration first
Well,
behind these tables.
the inspiration came two different ways. Um, as you know, I've been working with sound since I've been a little boy. I play the violin and I've played the drums all of my adult life, over 50 years of being a musician. And lecturing in North Carolina many years ago outside of Greensboro, a family would bring their son to most of my lectures, and this son was completely deaf. But the family would bring him, they'd sit up front, and they would just enjoy all the things that I was talking about. The little boy was always just calm and peaceful in the energy of the class. He was never restless or anything. He was great. He was about 8 years old. And I thought, I want to do something for this child. Don't really know what to do. And so I got a wooden chair, just a regular wooden chair, and I bought some electrical components called transducers. Bought an amp, power source, and I bolted the transducers to the chair, hooked up the power source, got different sound sources. And make a long story short, the next week when they came for another talk I was doing, I had the boy sit in the chair. And the boy sat in the chair. I turned on the system, and for the first time in his life, he heard sound. He was completely deaf since birth, but through bone conductance, he's sitting on the chair and his eyes just lit up and he started tapping out the beat to the rhythm of the music that everybody was hearing in the whole room, but he couldn't hear it, but he was whole body hearing it. The vibration, the tactile nature of whole body hearing bypasses your auditory system and goes directly into what's called bone conductance. And that has a number of different really key things that make this technology extraordinary. So from then on, um, I didn't know what to do with the technology other than that I gave that to that family, of course. I mean, that was theirs. Take it, use it forever, right? And upon my last visit with the skull, 1996, when I built the geometry for it that the skull wanted me to build, called the Celestial Beacon, and that's a video that anybody can watch online. You look up Christopher Timms Celestial Beacon, you'll see me with hair halfway down my back, with all the crystal bowls and all this amazing geometry that I built. Four of the skull pieces of compound geometry. And after that event was over, the skull gave me two things, two gifts, just directly. One was the ability to open up what are called the gates within people, and that's in Mayan mysticism. The adepts are called gatekeepers, and the gates are mandalas that appear over the spiritual eye, and they're different for everybody depending upon what you're going through in life. So, and the way you open them is to trace them out with the fire finger of each of your right hand, And then through chanting and toning and the tracing of them out, it's like getting hooked up to an electrical current for the person. All these things begin to happen, and it's an extraordinary thing. So that I started doing those workshops 1 week after that last event, just to help me experience it and to help people explore it with me. So the second was the skull told me build a sound table, and I said what? So build a sound table. So I built the first sound table in 1996, and I just had to throw it all together, figure it all out. And the tables are collapsible. You know, they fold, so they're portable. And each half of the table is a golden mean rectangle. The ratios of the legs are all golden mean and phi ratios. And so the table itself is a piece of universal harmony. And then when you combine that with the acoustic properties, electrical properties of sound and its conductance directly into the body, we had an extraordinary technology. And so literally I was the first person in the modern era to put together a sound table that was truly portable and available for the general public at a reasonable price. And as the years have progressed, I've sold them all over North America primarily, because shipping them is an extraordinary thing, and trying to ship them into Europe is a big deal, you know. But all over North America, and chiropractors use them, massage therapists use them, energy workers use them, physical therapists use them. And one of the biggest groups of people that love the sound tables are people that don't do any of that. They just want to explore soundscaping, the implications of whole body hearing and listening to the sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, I really commend you on that work. It's really quite incredible. I've seen
Thank
it
you.
kind of come up and around in the past from various different entities, but yours is a stronghold. Yours is really, I mean, the skull gave you this
Oh
information.
yeah.
That's amazing. I just want to point out that for those who are interested in seeing what these look like, we have pictures of those. If you look on the link on this page to the special offer or the sound healing products, you'll get right there to see those images. So basically, it's like a massage table, but it's different. You literally hand make these.
Yes.
Again, you in universal harmonics of the shape and the design of it and the acoustics. So what's
Yes.
really fascinating too is it's not just a sound table, but there's crystal technology in here.
Right. That's right. And the the high frequency speakers that are on either end, and they're essential to have in a unit. You don't really feel those vibrations because they're too high frequency. They just pass right through you. But the high frequency tweeters, they're called, are made with little quartz crystals in each one. They're called piezo tweeters. And I know it sounds funny, but back from the days when I was playing in bands, we used to buy them and use them as I would design and build the sound systems for the bands that I was playing in. And they have a great crisp sound. So they add to the auditory quality of the sound, but not to the tactile quality. But what's important is by the cranium and by the feet, we collect this muck in our energy field electromagnetically. And when you stimulate quartz crystals with electromagnetic pressure, voltage, they emit their own voltage, they emit their own energy. And if you've ever taken junk pieces of quartz, not that any quartz is junk, but you know, quartz that has been broken and they were just crushed, if you go into a dark room and you bang the pieces together, it'll light up the whole room for about 5 minutes, because you're collapsing the valences and releasing charge. And so that's what's happening on the sound table with these little tweeters at your head and your feet. And it cleans up the muck around the cranium, around the bottoms of the feet. And it's like scrubbing. It's just an amazing thing. So you combine that with the high quality woofer or the low end speakers that are there, and then the transducers, which vibrate the table to whatever music you're playing through it. And you've really got a great recipe of whole body hearing, and this new generation of table has some new technology too in it that um, has not been in the previous generations. The new generation of table has what's called a 9-band EQ in it. And before I would just have maybe a 3-band EQ. An EQ, if you don't know, is an equalizer. On your regular stereo system, you have treble and bass. But now imagine if you have bass, mid bass, high bass, mid, high mid, then low high, high, and very high. You break it up into 9 sections. So it gives you the ability to customize the sound and how it expresses itself depending upon the environment you're in. I'm a bit of an audio engineer. I've worked in studio work as well as design stereo and sound systems. So to do this gives you the ability to change how the table expresses itself when you're on a tile floor, or if you're on a carpeted floor, if you're in a big area, like a big conference room, or if you're in a small treatment room in a spa, or in your home. So you customize the sound, and if people don't know how to do that or don't want to mess with it, they tell me what to do when I'm building the table, and I take it to that environment, set it up, and I tune the table before I ship it off to them. So it's already preset, because many people don't want to mess with any of that. They just want to enjoy it.
Right. So it makes me wonder, when people use these in their life, how would they use it? There's
Oh,
practitioners, right? So
yes,
for all of those healers out there that want to add this, can you describe what a really good session would be like, or how they would include this in their own healing practice?
sure. When you greet a client and they're coming to your place where you're working with them, it's good to have the client lie down upon the table just for a few minutes, just with some music playing, whatever music they decide, whatever music touches them. You ask them if they can to bring a selection, have it as a download on their phone, bring a CD if it's available, all of that, and then you just let them unwind. So one of the things that happens initially when you lie down upon a table, the two transducers, the main transducers, which vibrate with the music, you don't hear them, but what they do is they vibrate the body plate of the table, and so that's the tactile sound. That's that whole body hearing I'm talking about. Okay, as you play the music, there's a transducer right underneath your head and underneath the region of the body where your coccyx, the base of the spine, will be. So as you lie there just for a few minutes, it sets up what's called standing waves. And these standing waves are inside your body. And these standing waves being vibrated, the coccyx and the cranium, it's like dropping pebbles in a pond up here and down here. So these waves begin to interact with each other, creating patterns. And what these patterns do is they unwind stress points in your body. So this is a great pre-treatment for a massage, for acupuncture, for a chiropractic adjustment, and and it's completely self-serve. People can come in, they have their music, they pop it in, they can lay down on the table. So there was a place in Boston that had a dozen of these tables years ago. And it was right downtown Boston, and people would come in, they'd rent time at lunchtime, $20, 20 minutes, and they'd come in with their music, put it in, put a blanket over them, take a quick lunch break, and they're gone. And they had people waiting to get in all the time. Isn't that great?
Yes, I think that's so great. And let's bring that into our world. This is really a new earth business in a way. It's such
Yes,
a
it is.
beautiful technology. It's here to help the masses. And, we have them available here. We're going to talk about how people can access them. We're going to, promote them. But also, there's ways that people can take them and do what you just did, create a spa
Oh yeah,
create opportunities for people to use this. That's beautiful. And I like that they can use their own music because there's an emotion to that, right?
it
There's so
is.
many tools out there. There's so much music out there. It doesn't have to be classical music. Yes, that makes us feel good. But then you've got this emotion and the whole body feeling.
And um, to take excerpts from one of the classic books from many years ago, The Secret Life of Plants.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people have a misunderstanding about music, and this the plants kind of tell us the story.
Mhm.
In The Secret Life of Plants, we realize that some plants love classical music, some plants love rock and roll, some plants love jazz, and some plants even love country music. So
Even.
we have all of these different choices, and a lot of the plants that like classical music don't do well when they listen to rock. The ones that love rock music didn't do well when they were listening to other genres of music. So plants are people too is the good thing to keep in your head, you know, because I play the violin, so I love Vivaldi, I love Wolfart, I love all the Bach minuets, all the great stuff. But I'm a rock drummer, so I grew up playing Rush and Led Zeppelin and all of this great stuff. And to me, all of that's really inspiring in different parts of my life in different
Yeah.
moods. So to be able to choose your music in the moment is extraordinary. Is extraordinary. And just one other thing to mention about that, one of the most potent features that's coming to help people get over addictions and dysfunctions in their own lives is the ability you have with this table, and this is the only technology that really does this. Okay, is you dictate to yourself about yourself. You sit down by yourself and you talk wonderfully about yourself for about 10 to 20 minutes. And as you and I spoke earlier, that's really hard for many people to do in life. About how wonderful you are, how much you love being alive, the things that you dream of, the things that you hope for, what brings you the greatest joy, all this stuff. You talk about yourself. Your self talk has to be joyous, loving, powerful, potent, all of that. And then you take that recording and you play it through the sound table. Because when you play it through the sound table, you're bypassing the auditory software that filters out and deflects a lot of the compliments. Many people can't take a compliment. You're beautiful, you're intelligent, you're very talented. Yeah, what a wonderful person you are. They deflect that. But this bypasses that. Now, every cell of your body, from your toes to the ends of your fingers, hear that and respond to it at a vibrational level. Yes, I am wonderful. Yes, I am loved. Yes. See, everything becomes integrative and whole. And it's so cool to watch people go through this type of a program because you make a new set of these declarations, a self-talk declaration every week, and it transforms you because you're literally rewriting your software from the inside out. You're not trying to do something to change yourself other than changing your internal environment.
Yes, beautiful. So as people use these, that self affirmation, it's like self affirmations, it's your voice. And we've learned how healing even our own voices
That's
and
what's
why we could,
important.
right? So why we can heal, we can just tone a sound and actually feel better. So this is beautiful. We are literally hearing it and hearing our voice not just by toning it and hearing it through our chest and the resonance of our physical body, but now it's coming back into that whole body listening. And that's got to be amazing. Talk about self love. What a powerful tool for that.
It is that, and that's a very good way to put it, Lauren. Is this is an amazing expression of self-love, and
Yeah.
this is you prioritizing a little bit of time to do these things for yourself, and just the implications to your body. Your whole body begins to address it, the cortisol response, the stressors that we accumulate, and everything begins to unwind.
Unwind, unwind, unravel from the 3D matrix
Right.
and really fully anchor into New Earth. That's why I say this is a New Earth business and there's collaborations. So we encourage people just to use this in their own life. Put it in your home. You've actually got, again, we're going to talk more about it, but you've got individual pads that people can use. So if they already have a massage table, or if they want to just use this somewhere in their own home,
Yeah,
that's another affordable feature for it. So
it
it's
is.
really quite amazing. Um, so there is one other facet of it. There's like an electrical charge that's emanating because of the crystals. Do you want to share a little bit? I mean, we don't have to go too much into the specifics of the mechanics, but there's something happening with the crystals and the grid that you're creating.
Yes. Well, there's two things that are going on. One, there's an external option for the sound tables, which is a crystal grid that would be connected to the table. And what comes with, and that's another option. We can talk about that.
Okay.
But the initial crystal, you could call it an activation, but I don't really even like that word. But it is. It's activating the piezoelectrical qualities within the little tweeters at either end,
Okay.
because they're at the head and the feet of the table in the corners under in the carriage of the table. They do set up a field, and it's an elliptical field of small electrical currents. It's microvolts of current, but it's not just electromagnetic energy. Quartz, as we'll explore, is a unique mineral in the mineral kingdom in that it has the same, how can I put it? The quartz doesn't change its form when we move up to the other planes of existence, all the way up to where form becomes formlessness at the edge of the torus. It's exactly the same. So a quartz crystal that you're holding in your hand will look the same on the astral, causal, mental, and the etheric planes, all the way up to the transcendent point where we move into abstractions. So that's different, everybody, than any other mineral, than anything. For instance, if you were to see Lauren's astral body, it would look different than the physical body in many different ways. Her causal body would look even more different. Mental body look even more different. By the time we get to the etheric body, we're virtually indiscernible from each other because we look like the galaxies, just star stuff, right? As Sagan would have said. And but quartz crystals have such an integrity to them and such a perfect universal harmony that they stay the same all the way down into the physical world. And that's why I've specialized in quartz all of these years. You know, I loved quartz so much that I bought a house in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and lived right there at the mines for years. When I wasn't traveling and teaching, I was always right there.
Wow, we've talked a lot about that experience, and we're
Mhm.
actually going to Lake Washita
Good.
because it's such an amazing experience. And anyone who's interested in that, please send me an email. You must have a full drawer of bathing suits because we
Yes.
spend time in the water.
Oh man.
But I digress. So, all right, and I just want to speak about the power of those crystals and the clearing effect. So truly, as we go into 5D, into the fifth dimension, New Earth is a frequency. We cannot take the baggage of the old paradigm and the fears and all the programs that are in our world. I mean, outside of the external world right now, there's a lot of fear going on, but we definitely have the tools to remember this is our center and stay centered, stay connected. And the quartz crystal, because they're always in that perfect form and the integrity of that form is through the dimensions, that will truly anchor us there.
It
Isn't that
does.
amazing?
Yes. Yes. And I've even tried to get myself to study the mineral kingdom because I love, all the different minerals and gemstones and things, but I just keep going, yeah, yeah, that's really cool, but this is where I want to be. And it's been
Yep.
my part of my life's work is music that's frozen, and form is music that's frozen music from the ancient Egyptian text. And that's really the beginnings of understanding sacred science and sacred geometry. Loren, is understanding that all form, all the platonic solids, the nestings, the combinations, and everything you see in this realm, everyone, is all frozen music. Everything is vibrating, playing the song of life.
Mm.
You
All
know,
right,
and
that's intriguing.
it is
Frozen
intriguing.
music.
And so quartz
Yes.
has an amazing ability. As you were talking about clearing us,
Yes.
um, when you quartz crystals are like truth serum,
Yeah.
in that if you think you're peaceful, you think you're really centered, you think you've got it all together, well, surround yourself with a couple nice big quartz crystals and just go sit in a dark room for a little while and see how settled you really are. And if you really are settled, if you really are peaceful, you'll be even more peaceful and more settled, because crystals are fundamentally amplifiers. And we can prove this through Carillion photography, real Carillion photography, where if you take a picture of the energy around your finger, and then that's the control, and then you take a quartz crystal, put it in your hand, take another picture of that same finger within a minute or two, because your energy changes a lot, then you'll see that the patterning of that Carillion photograph is now amplified about 40% just from having a little quartz crystal in your hand. And you can put another rock or crystal or a gem or anything in your hand. It won't do that. Quartz does that.
Quartz does it. I'm not the only one who just grabbed my quartz crystal. Everyone, grab your quartz crystal. All right. So then, um, talk briefly. We're not going to digress too far, but when we're working with quartz crystals, and I do, again, I just want to touch back on Hot Springs, Arkansas,
Sure.
and the clearing that happened. It was almost like you were talking about the quartz amplifying the energy, and that is a beautiful mirror. So when we go to places like that, we can be very observant. I like to call it non-judgmental self-observation, because when you see what comes up in those environments, it's not so becoming. And then once we get past that level of clearing, then we can learn to work with the crystals and amplify dreams, amplify new earth visions.
That's right.
So share with us how we can each, with whatever crystal that we have. I mean, we can, this is not going to get too woo woo, but we can, it's like scalar energy coming from the crystals then.
That's right.
We can put it in our refrigerators. We can put it in our drinking water. Talk a
Which I
little bit
do.
about how we can program those crystals.
And one of the ways that I've really experimented with programming crystals, aside from pictures, because the quartz crystals, as they're cleared and charged, are like an open hard drive, just ready to absorb your input. So it's really important, everyone, to be clear, to be centered, to be peaceful. Otherwise, you're bringing what you'd like to have in your life, plus all of your anxiety and your stress, and all of these things are going to the recipe, in the recipe into the crystal, because the crystal doesn't discern. The crystal just absorbs, just takes it and embellishes it, amplifies it. So that's why the first part of the work is really important. And a lot of us, by our nature, we want to skip the first part of the work because that's not always pretty. And we just want to get to the other part where we just get to have rainbows and unicorns, and just do all the things that we want to do. So let's say that we've done enough work and we've gotten ourselves into a place of being peaceful and centered, still. And then what comes up for you is nothing in particular. Isn't that interesting, right? So if nothing in particular comes up, don't make something up. Let the program that you're uploading into the crystal be peace, tranquility, stillness. That's pretty nice, right? And as you deepen that, as you and the crystal through your friendship together, that reflexive reality thing that's going on here now, as that deepens, then your creativity begins to reveal an idea, a notion that comes up. Ah, and pretty soon you'll be sharing ideas with the quartz crystal, just impressions and feelings that you never even knew you had before. Now that's a great step in your life. Now, I've worked with people who've done the crystal work with me, and they've said just that they didn't really know what they wanted to do. They didn't really know what, and they've tried all the mind mapping and the different affirmation programs and everything, but nothing really felt natural. It felt forced to them. I said, well, let's just work on getting back to center. Let's work on getting peaceful, centered, still, empty. And so when they arrived at even a little bit of that place, then all of a sudden an idea comes up as if from nowhere, but it had no room to get out because you were all anxious. You know, you were all worried, you were whatever you were. And now, boom. So now the crystal amplifies that, brings that up within you. And now all of a sudden there's opportunities to fulfill that idea, to magically appear on the stage of your life. So that's one of the ways that I work with crystals, is pictures, impressions, feelings. But for me, being a sound guy, you know, I've got like 6 different sets of tuning forks all around me. And you can, as you clear and charge a crystal, then you can specifically tune it by hitting it, taking a tuning fork, hitting it, touching it to the side of the crystal, and it'll excite the lattice. The lattice is the DNA of the crystal. It'll excite that to that frequency. And then when each sound has a specific quality to it. So you just experiment for yourself, whether today is a C kind of day for you, or it's a D kind of day, you know, or it's an F sharp kind of a day. Just
And what do you
experiment.
mean by that? What makes you feel right?
Yes,
Yes, by the feeling.
And what's enticing? What's intriguing? Oh, I don't like that. Put that away. You know, and then you grab this sound. Oh, this is where I want to be today. And you see, and this gets into the whole idea of part of the technology with the sound table has to do with full spectrum hearing. And in our culture today, we're immersed in a world full of synthetic sound. Our cell phones have synthetic sound. You know, the technology we're using here is synthetic sound. You know, even when we listen to a good stereo system, it's really not natural sound. You know, when I take out my violin and I play a song for you, that's natural sound. When I'm playing the drums for you, that's natural sound. Your voice, when we're standing or sitting in proximity to one another, that's natural sound. The wind blowing through the trees, waves on the beach, this is natural sound. The frequency response from low to high of natural sound is huge, is huge, is huge. And when you're listening to a really good stereo system, and I have really nice equipment because I'm the audio guy, right? It's only a little slice of that. But you never know. You never know. So what we did the other day to show my granddaughter this very thing, she's 9. She's been playing, I have 9 grandkids, but she's been playing violin with me for about 2.5 years. So she's getting pretty good, you know. And
do you play at Christmas holiday parties?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She's the performer, you know, and she loves the show off, and she's so good. We took her to the symphony here in Brevard, and they were playing Vivaldi, The Four Seasons. And Vivaldi, The Four Seasons is one of the most popular pieces. And she knows that music because we listen to it purposefully all the time. So I teach her how to listen. You know, listening is a talent. So she got to hear not a recording of Vivaldi, but she got to hear in this beautifully intimate setting, the acoustic, just the sound coming out of the stage from all the violins, the violas, the cellos, the bass, the full orchestra playing this music. You see, and part of what we do with the tuning forks is we play this full spectrum hearing. So the frequencies that stimulate that note within the quartz crystal are bringing now, because of the quartz, into a multidimensional state, jumping states, that frequency. So if you just hit a tuning fork and hold it in your hand, it's natural sound. You're hearing things way beyond what's called the fundamental tone. But when you hit it to a quartz crystal, now that becomes multidimensional because of the lattice of the quartz. There's magic in there. I mean, this is part of the magic I've worked with for 32 years with quartz. The implications of it. Practitioners love all this. They combine the sound work that I teach with the quartz crystal work. And as I think I told you last time we spoke, I've had people who've retired from corporate America to do this work.
Yeah.
Years ago. Yeah.
Encore careers.
The encore
Yes.
careers.
Yes.
That's right.
The true service work.
That's right.
So, okay. So a tuning fork on its own,
Mm-hmm.
but then a tuning fork with a crystal. And again, we're going to talk more about a course that you're going to be teaching on tuning forks and personal transformation and planetary transformation. But tapping a tuning fork on a crystal
Mm-mm.
will make it multidimensional. So what do you do?
Well,
Do you is this your dream, your vision? Again, it's amplifying.
yes.
So good. Here he is with his tuning forks.
Right. Let me grab a quartz. Hang on. I've got all kinds of quartz crystals.
And I just want to tell everyone, as we're waiting for Christopher, we're going to be doing an after party with Christopher. And that is really fun because we're on Zoom and you can come in and you can ask your question. You can share your experience and you can laugh with us. It's our little community. So good. All right, Christopher.
And so here's a crystal out of my collection. This is a big tabular crystal. As you can
Now,
see.
is that from Arkansas?
Yeah, oh, of course. Yeah. All of the quartz I have is coming from Arkansas because I resonate to that completely. And so a tabular crystal is built for communication, meaning the waveform that it throws, that it expresses, somehow helps us communicate. So I keep one near my computer. So when I'm talking to people like you or clients or everyone else, that it helps us all communicate together. You know, it's a way to use it. So you can hear that frequency coming through, okay?
Yes.
I can take off the screen. Okay. So what happens is you never hit a quartz crystal with a tuning fork. You know, you don't want to do that. The crystal doesn't like it, and it's just too abrasive. Okay, so you play the tuning fork either against a hockey puck, a rubber hockey puck, or against the butt of your hand. Okay, that's all. It's a simple thing, and the main vibration comes through the tines of the tuning fork down to the stem right here. So once you've hit the tuning fork, then you touch it to any of the facets, the sides. You hear that vibrating?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So now, because the crystal has an intact template of itself all the way up to the highest states of consciousness before sacred unity, there's also a descending as well as an ascending current within its body structure, just like you and I. But the crystal doesn't have any loss or change as it ascends and descends. We do because of our nature. So when you play a tone, the purity of the tone ascends, and it literally brings down with it the highest qualities from the abstractions of consciousness, just outside of oneness, sacred unity, flavoring it to the degree of the frequency that you're playing. And I don't know whether I'm losing everybody at this point, but it's like flavors of wonderful, whether it's a C, a D, an E, an F, or a G. It's just a different flavor. And some days you'll like C, some days you'll like G. This is a G sharp, which is a frequency for 15.3. And this has to do with grounding out at the feet. And this is earthing. This is an earthing frequency. So I thought it'd be really nice to just grab that one. And while you can't hear the G sharp playing really clearly, unless I play it near the ends of the tuning fork like that. The crystal hears it, and the DNA is now vibrating at that frequency. It'll hold it for hours, and it'll just oscillate there. So therefore, it ascends, and as it descends, it brings down that universal knowledge flavored to that G sharp. And I know it sounds really odd for everyone, but every note is like a different piece of the picture puzzle. And just as our scale has 12 notes, you know how every astrological sign, of which there are 12, has different qualities to it. Every note has different qualities too. So when I teach sacred geometry, I set up a big circle and put all my crystal bowls around them, making the whole octave for all the notes. And I teach the qualities of each sound, just like the qualities of each astrological sign. And they combine together to manifest the fundamental forms of life. So that's how it's all taught as frozen music. Does that make sense?
Yes. And that's a very powerful tool. Very powerful tool. You know, we sit and meditate with crystals, and we've been given insights in that meditation. You just explained it. You explained it. And this is divine inspiration that we are receiving, because first we're calming ourselves down, being in that peace and center. And that's really cool. I love that.
It is
All
cool.
right.
It's cool. I don't think I've ever shared that with anybody outside of an advanced crystal class. That's interesting.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, we're
I
going to
think
talk
that's,
about an
yes, that's
advanced
right.
crystal class.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Um, we've got something very special for people. There is a crystal course that you've taught, and there is also a new upcoming course to go into the specifics in more detail of how you work with tuning forks
Right.
and crystals as well. So share a little bit more about why people would want to take that course. What's it going to do for them?
Which one? The
The
quartz?
tuning forks.
Oh,
And
the
actually,
tuning
you
fork.
have both. One's a home
Okay.
study and one's a live.
Right. The live study is tuning forks for personal and planetary transformation, and being kind of one of the original sound pioneers back at the beginning of this. It came out and then it went away for a while, and now it's coming back again. And in this renaissance, you could say, of sound therapies and sound technologies, I really want people to get a grasp fundamentally in a focused teaching of what tuning forks really are, because I don't want people to have misunderstandings that it's another magic pill that's going to fix everything. Okay, tuning forks, just like quartz crystals. Everybody runs to quartz crystals every 5 or 6 years, and there's a big fad. And then when the crystals didn't save them from themselves, then they get bored with the crystals, and then it goes away, and then it comes back again. I mean, I've watched this for 32 years, so, and
Like
sound
fashion.
is just a bigger wave.
Yeah.
And so what we have with the tuning forks as a teaching is that there are many different scales. There are many different musical systems. There's the Pythagorean system. There's the A440 system. There's this thing called the Solfeggio scale that you've heard all about. So what are those things? What is the history of all that stuff? How did it really come about? What effects do they really have on us? So we break it all down. By the time you leave the tuning fork class, you'll be able to talk with anybody about tuning forks, how they're made, primary, secondary fields, entrainment, resonance, dissonance. We go
Well, we adapt in this Mercury retrograde. Let's give it a moment, and Christopher will jump back on. There
um,
you are. Hi. You jumped off for a moment, but you're
yes, yes.
stable now.
You froze too. We were both
Okay.
in that mode. Um,
You froze first.
yes, I'm sure. So aside from getting a grasp of tuning forks, different scales, how they implicate the body, how they affect the body and your mind and your spirit, what
Hmm.
we use them for, what I don't use them for, all of that. Um, you're learning principles that govern, really, by understanding tuning forks. You're understanding how the planets revolve around the sun.
Oh,
I mean, this is all universal teachings that apply at a galactic level, a universal level, all the way down to how every atom of your body operates. These same physics principles of sound that are easily explained dictate it all.
yeah.
So I've been a contractor all of my life too. Grew up in the trades. So everything has to work for me. You know, fluffy, frilly things, don't really last long in my toolbox. There's no use for it, you know. Go ahead.
No, I love that. So, um, this course that you're going to put on over 3 sessions, it's about 2 hours each.
That's right.
So someone who is someone can actually then, because of the knowledge that they're going to receive, they're going to be able to take this out and do sessions with people on it. So for
Absolutely.
anybody doing, whether it's hypnosis sessions or sound healing
Oh yeah.
or anything, this will actually assist them. How about an advice on what they would do for that? Do they, I mean, you've got certain tuning forks. They can go get tuning forks anywhere, but this is going to be something that's going to give them a practice or
Yes.
knowledge to put into their own practice.
Oh, there's a lot of new things that are coming out now, in the last 10 years. One of the most amazing discoveries is the linkage between music, acoustics, and archaeology. And it's, of course, called acoustic archaeology. And um, when I couldn't wait to get my first book on it when I saw it. And as I'm reading the book and the transcriptions from a world conference about acoustic archaeology 4 or 5 years ago, you find that there's one frequency that is found in all the ancient sites all over the world, from the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid to the Hypogeum in Malta, to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, Teotihuacan in Mexico, Pumapunku. I mean, all over the world, this one frequency, when they test, this is what's called acoustic resonance, everyone. That's where they bounce sound around inside a chamber until they find what sets up a standing wave. What's and that's the acoustic resonance. Okay, really advanced technology of these ancient people to build this like this purposefully.
Mhm.
All right, so it's the frequency is A110. It's an A110, and when I saw A110, I saw, huh, that's just 2 octaves lower than the music scale that we teach on the piano. Your piano is based in A440. That's your compositional instrument, the piano. And if you go down 1 octave, it's 220. Another octave, it's A110. And A110 is present in every site all around the world. So I immediately ordered a whole set of forks made to A110. And I have a set that are weighted and a set of A110s that are unweighted. And you'll learn all about that in the class too. Weighted and unweighted forks express different harmonic structures. So therefore they have similar but different effects. I mean, this is a whole world of sound. And like I said, when you take this class, at the end of just the 6 hours of material, an hour and a half of Q&A with everybody, you'll have a much better grasp than most of the people that are out there doing sound therapy now. And yes, you'll be able to take some of these forks, some of these frequencies. You can go tune the plants in your front yard, tune those flowers that aren't doing very well. You can tune your animals. I've got a 16-year-old Siberian Husky and about a 14-year-old little pit bull, and they get tuned all the time.
They're
You know,
jazzed.
oh, they love
Yes.
it. They love it. And I
They,
have people that actually have practices tuning horses.
Oh,
It's
that's
extraordinary.
beautiful. Yes.
When I was in Australia the first time, I had the experience of people knew that I knew a lot about sound and forks, and this woman had a horse that was her horse for 10 years. The horse was lame, standing in the middle of a field, and so they called the vet. The vet was going to be about 3 hours before he could get there, and so I went out with the forks. I tuned the horse, and I'm talking to the horse. Lucy was her name. I remember that. I'm talking to Lucy, and Lucy's not happy. You could tell she was just kind of, you know, unsettled about all of this. This wasn't comfortable to her. And I tuned her. And when the vet showed up, she knew the vet and she walked over to the vet. Now, a lame horse, for you, as you don't know, doesn't move anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I love stories like that. I really do. Okay. Well, we promised everyone to let them know more about this. So that's the course. Um, let's see. Did I need to get anything else there? I think that's good. So let's talk a little bit about your special offer. I'm going to put up a screen here for just a few minutes because we're going to go to our after party. And I want to say to everyone that join us in our after party. This is our New Earth community. You can purchase a single ticket. If you purchase any of Christopher's special offers, you'll get a ticket to our after party. And you can also purchase a membership. And this is just a fun way to come together and spend some time to ask your questions about sound healing to this master sound healer. But Christopher, I also want to point people to our special offer page with you because that one, this is a serious package for healers or anyone who wants to go into this spectacular world of sound healing. So let's talk about it because on your special offer, of course, you've got the crystals workshop and the tuning fork workshop. And if anybody purchases your sound table or the sound pads, they'll also get that special offer. We actually are including it
That's right.
because we want to make this really special. There's also extra things that we're going to offer as far as music, some of my plant music and some of your toning, your you know
Tibetan
your
chanting. Yeah.
chants, your Tibetan chanting, and that's beautiful. So describe for us the sound tables, please.
Well, there's three choices when you're going to pick out your magic carpet sound table. The standard table is really all anybody needs. 95% of the tables that I sell are the standard table, and they'll last you your whole life. The equipment is really high end. The electronics that are in there, it'll last you your whole life. I have tables that I built in 1996, 1997 that are still in use today, and that have been used continuously. Right, and then if you're more of an audiophile, then there's what's called the symphonic table. The symphonic table has more components within it, unnecessary for the whole body sound. The whole body hearing component is exactly the same. Transducers are exactly the same. The difference is the auditory sound, the listening pleasure out of it. And uh, I just delivered one of them the other day to Hilton Head in South Carolina to a couple that came down from Canada, and they loved that. And then the third option, sometimes it's not really appropriate for you to have a sound table in an environment where you have people in working areas right next to you. Like if you're in a cubby, or you're in an office and people are right next to you. So I make a stealth table. A stealth table has more transducers. It has no speakers in it at all, and you can hear it a little bit, but fundamentally it's just that whole body hearing. And what happens is when you lay down on the stealth table, it proves to you what I've been talking about with the whole body hearing, because you can stand up in the room and you won't hear it. But when you lay down on the table, you hear it. You hear the music, but you're not hearing it from your ears. You're literally hearing it being played through your bones and your tissues the water within your system is now playing the music, and you're hearing it from the inside out. So it's just pretty fun. So those are the three options for tables. Sound pads are for someone that doesn't want to have another massage table if you already have one, or a bodywork table. They are two pads, and they're about 5 inches thick by the time they're upholstered and padded. And these two sections can either be on the floor, or they can rest upon an existing bodywork table. And they have the transducers, speakers within them. And I just sold a sound pad to a gentleman that was in Michigan, Upper Michigan, and I sent it to him just before Christmas. And he is a concert pianist, retired, and he's also a Buddhist man, and he does sound voyages, sound baths for people with the crystal bowls and things in his retirement. But he really wanted one of these pads to experience some things for himself, because he has some health issues, and he knew that I could help him with the technology to work with sound and help revive him, because sound's been his whole life. So those are the three versions of the sound table, and then that's the sound pad. I'm not hearing you at all.
Okay,
There
very
you go.
good.
Now I am.
Awesome. All right, that's really cool. So, if anybody has any questions about this, Christopher can certainly get with you. Just email me if you've got questions.
Right.
We'll put you guys in contact. Thank you. Really amazing that we're offering this technology to our community. It really is New Earth, and it is here. More testimonials that come out from it will actually let everyone know that it really is something that's rewarding and beneficial in our lives. And also, as the research comes about on this, I want to ask you a little bit about research. Have you, besides the actual experiences, have you known anyone to get any scientific research on this, or brain scans or anything from this?
Nothing that we could cite as a formal study, but yes, people have been on the sound table and hooked themselves up to brain monitors, and it's pretty intriguing the way it drops you down into a theta state very quickly.
Yes.
But again, we can't say this is a formal study. We can just tell them, people have written me and told me of how potent it is, because they can sit and meditate, and it takes a long time to drop down into state where, if you're a beginning meditator, it can be very frustrating. But the table takes you into that place, acquaints you with it, so you can just stay there.
Yes, so you can just stay there.
Right.
Awesome. Yes. All right. Beautiful technology. Thank you for that. All right. Well, that special offer is available for all of those who are interested. Again, you can take the courses with Patrick, and you can get his sound table if you'd like to add that into your healing practice. One thing that we didn't talk about was the crystal course. Go ahead and recap that for us too, if you don't mind.
No, the crystals, I talk a bit about sound with crystals. We talked about using tuning forks with them. The crystals one, we talk about how to really clear the crystals, how to charge your crystals, how to store your crystals. We talk about the different waveforms from different types of quartz crystals, single, double terminated, clusters, and all types of quartz crystals. And the family of quartz also includes citrine, amethyst, and black obsidian is also quartz. That's volcanic quartz. So we include those within that first, just to give you an understanding of what quartz actually is, how it's formed. And as we talked earlier today about the multidimensional nature of quartz, and really its place is is at the center of the wheel of gemstones and minerals. It's really the master stone. So that's where we begin. And then we talk about making grids. So you can do compression grids, expansion grids, ascension and descension grids, and how to use crystals for your own personal purging. We touched upon that a little bit in our conversation, kind of getting you free from yourself and getting you to a place of stillness where then you can look at how to program the crystals. And then in 2 and 3, we move into the realm of hyperdimensional physics, and that has to do with geometry, the combinations of geometric forms, crystals, and how to use crystals to set up grids on the floor to have specific effects. Not just in the previous levels, we work with ascending, descending, compression, and expansion grids, but now we can work with different ways to enhance your waveform. Just as you heard me say a little while ago that different notes have different qualities to them, well, different geometric forms have different qualities to them as well, because form is nothing more than frozen music. They're just different ways of doing the same things. So as you look at the bullets that are included within each of the levels of the crystal package, you'll see that there's an incredible amount of information there.
Mm-hmm.
And this, because I'm not a writer, I'm a teacher, this is how I bring the book out. The Book of the Crystals is a video book for you. You know, and I'm showing you crystals, all the different kinds, showing you how I work with them. All of it's right there for you. And that'll be in your library of go-to material forever, just like the tuning fork class.
Yeah.
And these, particularly the tuning fork class, is a doorway into my world of sound. And the crystals, that's really a very complete package of material. You know, I have a half a shelf full of books in my library office on just quartz crystals. And this is a really complete teaching. This is a really complete resource for you about quartz crystals. And I think it's really much more applicable than most of the things that I have on my shelf. So,
All right, there you have
how's
it.
that?
That's awesome. So you can get these incredible teachings from Christopher, and I want to thank you for that. Of course, that special offer is right there on this page that you're viewing on. And again, if you purchase if you purchase one of Christopher's sound tables or the sound pad, you're going to get the full special offer with those 2 courses in it. That's an extra bonus for you. Okay, very good. Well, Christopher, this has been really wonderful. We're going to go to our after party now for our New Earth community to ask you some questions. I just want to thank everyone for joining us. Come on into our Zoom room and join us. You can get a ticket, or you can become a member, or you can purchase any of Christopher's products today, and you'll get into the after party, which starts right after we end this broadcast. I want to say thank you to everyone. Please subscribe to this channel and check out acoustichealth.com. It is your home where we are free to talk all things quantum, to be empowered and inspired. As we say goodbye, Christopher, I just want to thank you for being here, sharing your wisdom. You are a tireless teacher, and you have so much to offer. And thank you, thank you, thank you. As we say goodbye, any last comment for people out there who need some support?
In a world full of change, much is uncertain. Just realize that within you is the essence of the universe. the beginning and the ending of creation. It's never flawed, it's never broken, never needs to be fixed. The journey that we take is more about just revealing what we've hidden from ourselves. So take comfort when you look into a world of great uncertainty, of great unpredictability. And instead of having fear or uncertainty, just know that this too shall pass. Thanks.
Comforting and nurturing. Thank you so much, Christopher Timms, master healer, sound healer, inventor, and world changer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this quantum conversation.
It's a pleasure. It's always good hanging with you, Lauren.
Likewise. And thank you, everyone, for hanging with us, too. Bye.
That's it.
All right, I'm going to share my screen here, and we are going to dance our way to the cosmic heart. But as we dance our way today, this is a little bit of plant music. This is the song of plants. And did we mention that we were going to include this with the purchase of a sound table? We did not, but we are including a whole bundle of plant music if you purchase a sound pad or a sound table. So enjoy, everyone, and we'll see you in the after party. Namaste. Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.